And welcome in, everyone, to our Boca Raton Bowl preview show. It's been a busy few weeks, has it not, friends? Brian Higgins with you as we are a week out now. A week and, let's call it 9 hours out from the start of the Boca Raton Bowl, Syracuse and USF. We've obviously been talking a lot of Syracuse football over the course of the last couple of weeks with the hiring of Fran Brown and the recruiting and the this and the that. But it's time to start actually focusing in on the game to come a week from now down in Boca Raton. We've got a lot of guests coming up over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. We'll be joined by Jim Lauk, the longtime voice of the USF Bulls. Syracuse and USF had some history in the Big East. They'll play for the first time since 2016. We'll be joined by Elijah Clark. Talk a lot about the Boca Bowl and obviously his jersey ties and relationship with the current and incoming staff. Eric Dungy will join us coming up in 10, 15 minutes or so. But to start our program today, we want to welcome in Doug Mosley. He is the executive director of the Boca Raton Bowl. Doug, welcome in. And, it just kind of worked out here, right? Syracuse, the first Power 5 team to get down to Boca for this game. Thanks for joining us today. How'd this game come together for you this year?
In a very interesting way. Championship weekend had lots of twists and turns, and
that it did.
You saw all the schools that were bowl eligible and where to put them and things like that. I think a second factor that probably played into it and how the teams all shook up was the fact that this is a Thursday night primetime game on ESPN. That's typically a night where we see a lot of college football through the year, and our Thursday night slot has always done well during bowl season. It's the first time we'll play in the Thursday night slot, and we're really happy to have Syracuse and USF. USF, of course, bowl eligible for the first time since 18. We've heard from their fan base for a long time about their desire to bring their team, the Bulls, over here. Now, the Syracuse thing kind of came about another way, and I knew we had great interest in having USF, and I feel like USF is really a program on the rise right now. I really like the coach they hired. And by the way, I really like your coach, too, who has actually been here before with Temple, Fran Brown. So when I got the call and they said, look, we're thinking about sending Syracuse down there. How's Syracuse going to do in your market? I'm like, they're going to knock it out of the park. We've got so many folks down here that are from New York. I can't believe how many people have come up to me that I had no idea and said, hey, I went to Syracuse. So we've had a huge push on tickets here locally. I think that we're going to have a great turnout on game day. And I think this is going to be a fantastic game as well.
Obviously, there's a ton of Cuse, expats that have made their way down south over the years, and certainly into Florida for sure. That'll be checking this game out coming up a week from Thursday. Take me back to, time is mushed together here, Doug, based on the frame and all this stuff. Like, it feels like it was 9,000 years ago. I guess it was a week and a half ago when the Bulls officially came together. That was a crazy Sunday, right? Like, it was a much longer than normal period waiting for the ACC to shake out. How did you view that? How did that affect this? Yeah, how did it all come down to you there?
Part of it was, my company, which is ESPN Events, which owns 17 different football games as well as some basketball events, the softball event in Clearwater and such like that. For a game like mine, I did not have an agreement. I have agreement with the other conferences that feed into our game. Not a big deal. We just had to put together some, the legalese on Sunday. But you're right. Normally we're used to 2:45 in the afternoon every year. That's when we're going out with our teams. And I started getting inundated with messages between phone calls and text and everything, even folks reaching out through our social media platforms. And like, did I miss it? Did you already announce what's going on? So while the whole piece was we were trying to get, like I say, the legalese together with Syracuse, actually with the ACC, we went ahead and announced USF. And about the time that we had done that, words started to leak. Nobody can keep a secret long enough for to get all the I's dotted, the T's crossed. So when we finally came out and said, okay, it's going to be USF and Syracuse, it was probably the worst kept secret.
Yeah, I'd say we knew it unofficially, I think, for a few hours before we knew it officially. Brett McMurphy, who we love talking to, he's always on top of reporting that stuff. And then we saw kind of the mess that was going on with the trickle down of Florida State, was just fascinating to watch over the course of that week and a half, which led us to this. And you mentioned it, Doug. You work for the arm of ESPN. Like, for people that don't understand this, like, ESPN actually owns a bunch of these bowls now and is in charge of running them. So obviously, that is because it is great television product to have a lot of college football on this time of year. Yep. But, there's also the bowl experience, right, Doug? How important is that to you to make sure when, these guys show up in Boca for both of these teams that they get, a proper bowl experience with you guys?
Well, it's primary. Excuse me. It is very primary for us. Keeping the student athlete experience first and foremost is very important. We feel like that it's a reward for a season, and we want to make sure that we're backing that up with our conference partners and also our school partners. So we like to get folks to the beach when they get down here. We like to get them around the community. We've got various events when they get here. The first night we'll be bringing Syracuse over to Drive Shack there in West Palm Beach to get out there. And, we always call ourselves the golf capital of the world down here. It just seemed like that was one of the things that we should have in our bowl week. So we're real pleased with that. Like on Saturday, we'll have them at Lake Worth Pier. We'll have them a cookout for them, and then they go out on the pier, go fishing. And every year, somebody out on the pier, they'll be cranking on that rod, thinking they've caught a monster, and they've hooked the pier. Happens every year. I think the biggest fish we've had caught was about like that. So. It's things like that. We also do a community outreach with the VA hospital. That's where Syracuse will be going to visit the VA, which is right there in West Palm Beach. And then, of course, we come up on the day before the game. We always have a very spirited kickoff luncheon with the teams. We always try and think, what can we do to kind of plus this up for their experience? And then game day. So it's, they're down here for 4 nights. It's kind of compact. We do like to leave them some time just to enjoy the area. We always get high marks for involvement of our community. Literally, we will have people on the tarmac at BBI to greet Syracuse as they get off the plane on Sunday. So we want to keep that whole bowl experience, that whole bowl week, very primary for our student athletes.
Yeah, Doug, and obviously this is part of ESPN too. The playoff is so ever present, and next year it'll become even larger. What do you see as the balance of bowls like yours, going forward? Like Syracuse and USF, it's 2 6-6 teams. This is not teams that would have been in the playoff this year. So how important is it for you to find those rewards and things like that, aside of what other people will be looking at later this month?
Well, first, after we get the teams identified and where they're going and everything, in a lot of ways, the record kind of goes out the window. Yeah. Between opt-outs and things like that. And I completely understand them. They're just a part of life these days in college athletics. The game is almost a reset for the next season. The coaches always talk about how important it is to get the extra weeks of practice and that. So when we get them here, they've already started their preparation for the next year. So in a lot of ways, like I say, I see USF on the rise. They finished strongly. I think that Syracuse has got their program going in the right direction. Dino is a friend of mine. I liked him, remembering from Bowling Green. It just didn't work out. So I really like Fran Brown a lot. I think they've made a fantastic hire.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating, I guess. I don't know if they've given you any insight, Doug, here to what's to happen. Obviously, Fran is the head coach now. He will not be coaching this this bowl game. Nunzio Campanelli will. Yeah. It's kind of an interesting twist on things, right? Like, usually there are not coaching changes going on during the bowl game as it's happening. It'll be kind of fascinating to see how it all plays out next Thursday.
Well, to the contrary, it does happen, and particularly with bowl games like ours, where it's before Christmas.
Okay.
And that's one thing. We always have to be before Christmas with the agreement we have with our county down here. After Christmas, it becomes season, and it gets a little harder to be able to manage all the hotel rooms that you got to have to put on a bowl game like this. I know, you look at the Orange Bowl, which in my mind is the gold standard of bowl games, and I know they've even had to kind of trade around headquarter hotels as the pressures of season kind of fills up so many rooms.
Yeah, I mean, getting down there. Hey, a lot of people like to go to Florida this time of year. So, to hear it from some of the guys over the course of the last couple of weeks, I'm sure Syracuse was in the mix. They played in the Pinstripe Bowl last year. It was the third time the Orange had played down there. I know there was some chatter. It might be the Fenway Bowl last year or this year. The guys seem quite delighted to be headed down here, Doug, to get down to Boca for a change this year.
Well, we'll try and put on a great opportunity, great show for them. I know they'll put on a great show for us on Thursday night.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the game upcoming. Tell us a little bit about the history of this bowl game, Doug. It's 10 years in to the Boca Raton Bowl. Take us back. Obviously, bowls come, bowls go. What has made this bowl work for as long as it's done right now?
It really came about and like I say, my company, ESPN Events, we have, agreements with all the conferences in that for various, whether it's tournaments, basketball tournaments, whether it's preseason kickoff games or the bowl games. The bowl games is kind of the core of our business. And, as we grew this game and we developed kind of the following in the community. I mean, I got people that are, coming up to me going, man, I'm looking, this is going to be my 10th consecutive. I'm like, you've been there for all of them, man. I usually ask them, I said, did you get wet last year or wet the second year? Because those are the years we had rain. But, as we've grown, you kind of earn what you get. For a long time, we were almost like the de facto national championship for the group of 5 conferences. They would pull out, obviously, the highest ranked one and send it to the New Year's Six. But then we would kind of have the pick of the ones after that. Even with that, though, we were always kind of striving to be in line to get a Power 5. And I think through the first 9 years, the success we've had and everything, that set us up perfectly for when this opportunity came along, we were ready for it.
Yeah, I'm sure you jump on it. You told us, you've run into a bunch of Syracuse people down there, but the idea of an ACC school being in this bowl game this year, what kind of launching point can this be for, where this bowl game goes in the future?
Well, I think that, it's just going to be that we're going to attract, good teams that can play before Christmas. That's really the key to all this, is that will always be before Christmas. So, the ACC certainly has teams that will fit into that. I know that they have also had an agreement with our sister bowl over in Tampa, Gasparilla Bowl. And so we're looking forward to seeing more of those teams. We have such a mix of, it's almost like there's not, Florida State, Miami are kind of primary down here, but it's not like there's such a mix of people down here. Like when Temple played in our game, we had a ton of Temple fans at the game who were local. And I'm thinking it's going to be the same way with Syracuse. And several other schools in the ACC are very similar to that. We got a lot of their alums down here. They come down here to retire, or maybe they come in on a career track or something like that. So I think we got a captive audience down here for those schools.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'll tell you this, Doug, 2018 down in Orlando, last time the Orange played in Florida for a bowl game, a ton of Syracuse fans were at that game. So they're certainly down there. Everyone from up here is willing to travel and get warm, and we're looking forward to it. All right, Doug, really appreciate the time today. Thanks so much for hopping on, and best of luck making this all come together next week.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
All right, Doug Mosley. He is the executive director of the Boca Raton Bowl. Mr. Boca Bowl. That's a great nickname, by the way. I want to be the Mr. something of somewhere. That's a good nickname to have. But Syracuse will be down there taking on USF coming up next Thursday, a week from today at 8 o'clock. Here's the layout for the remainder of our show today. Elijah Clark will join us coming up in a bit. Jim Lauk is the voice of the USF Bulls. He'll be on in a few minutes. But next up, man, when's the last time we talked to Dungy? The last time we talked to Dungy was it post-game? Was it post-game after Wake Forest? That feels like it was 9,000 years ago. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. Let's bring in our guy, Eric Dungy here. Man, Eric, a lot has happened since we last talked. Have you processed all this stuff? New head coach, bowl games, recruiting battles gone wild. What's hitting you right now?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's exciting right now for Syracuse. He's bringing Coach Robinson from Texas A&M. I've been following on Twitter with these commits that are flipping from Georgia to Syracuse. They're taking a Nebraska visit. They're coming to Syracuse. It's awesome. So he's done what he said he's going to do, and that's bring some buzz around the program. And he's one of the best recruiters in the country, as long with Coach Robinson, who's the second best recruiter, and they're doing what they do best. And we don't need, like I said, we don't need 12 or 11 guys on each side. We just need 3 or 4 playmakers, and they can really make a game-changing difference.
What do you think this week or 2 weeks is like in the locker room, Eric? Obviously, we talked how tough it is to go through a coaching change. I think we saw in the season finale what a job Nunzio Campanelli did holding things together. But when there's so much buzz on the recruiting and everything going on, how inside the locker room do you think they're keeping it together to get ready to actually play a football game next week?
Yeah, and you know what? I think at this point it's just making sure the kids are having fun. They've had a long season. They've had a lot of ups. They've had a lot of downs. It's getting them excited for next year. It's also a little test here. Who's going to make the plays? They might get some guys who haven't got as much playing time this year and just throw them into the bowl game. Some guys might opt out. Some guys obviously hit the transfer portal. So this is exciting. It's the time to really make a name for yourself at Syracuse when they're bringing in all these new guys. Give yourself a leg up in the competition and see what you can do. And I think the bowl games are always fun. Unfortunately, I was only able to go to one, but it was a lot of fun when we were out there, and the guys are going to enjoy. I know the Boca Raton Bowls, they're going to do a great job of hosting. It's a beautiful place down there in Florida. Hopefully, they'll get some good weather and avoid the rain. But even if they get the rain, the sun will surely shine. So, I'm just excited for these guys and happy. It's a nice little cap to the season, and hope they can end 7-6 here and end on a winning note.
And you say Boca. I mean, you're right, Eric. You went to Orlando from your bowl game. The Florida Bowls, that's a good little bonus, right? This time of year to get down south for a bit.
Oh, definitely. That was kind of how we were always looking at it. I think we were between, not that it was a bad, but we didn't really want to play in the Pinstripe Bowl. It was going to be cold down there. We obviously wanted to go down to Orlando and be in the sun and play against West Virginia. And it's always a little better because, we spend a lot of time up in the cold. Granted, we're in the dome, but it's nice to get out in the sun and enjoy that for a little bit.
And I'm thinking back to your bowl game there. Opt-outs were just kind of becoming a thing then. And now they're more prevalent. No, we haven't heard of anybody opting out of this game yet for Syracuse. It may happen, it may not. Nobody has said that, obviously. And now the transfer portal's a thing. Obviously, the guys in the portal are gone. They will not be playing in this bowl game for Syracuse. How different is that? When you look around the locker room, right? And I think we saw it last year. Sean Tucker didn't play in the bowl game, nor did Michael Jones. Where you look around the locker room, and not everybody that was with you, 2 weeks ago is going to be with you on the field in this upcoming game.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't attest to that just because my team, everybody wanted to play, and I know that we had Tristan Jackson and Abdul Adams, and they were the guys who were actually granted eligibility to play. So they had to miss the whole season, and technically, since it was a bowl game that they were able to play, and it was really cool to see that. Everybody was chomping at the bit. We wanted to continue to play, and it's more business decisions at this point for some of the guys, on the Alabama and the Georgias and some other teams that the bowl game's not going to do much. Their work is done and they're looking for the next level. They'll opt out and they'll just make sure that they're taking care of themselves because you've seen some gruesome injuries in bowl games and crazier things have happened. But I think a lot of guys, they work for this moment. It's the final cap to the season. They're like, all right, well, you know what? We put in all this work. This is what we got to do. And it's fun to host a trophy at the end of the season with your team, with your teammates and, having the fans root you on.
Yeah, I guess what's kind of wild here, the coaching change and, who's going to be in charge, what kind of stuff are they going to be running. We also still haven't heard, word one, Eric, on Garrett Schrader. We know he's banged up. He's got time. I got zero clue if he's available to play in this game or not, as I'm sure USF doesn't either. So I guess we're going to have another wild lead up to this one, playing quarterback roulette and trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 4 or 5 different guys take a snap at quarterback, whether it be running backs, receivers, the backup quarterback, the third string, the fourth string, or even just maybe they put the water boy in there. Let's make it interesting here, and you never know what could happen. But it's, Schrader, regardless, I think he's going to do everything he can to play. He's just a gritty guy. You saw how much it meant to him in that final post game against Wake Forest. A lot of respect for him, and I think he wants to go out the right way, whether it be one last touchdown or just, you never know how good he's feeling. 3-4 weeks can do a lot of time for the body, and you just got to work your way up to about 60 or 70% and then just give it all you got from there. And Schrader 60 or 70% is better than a lot of guys 100% across the country.
Yeah, well, we'll take that. It would be nice to, you got to go out on top in your bowl game. I'd say it would be nice if Garrett can get out there to give him, for a guy that's been through a lot and injuries and 3 years starting here, to give him one last go at it in a week. Willie, I don't know. That's kind of been the tale of the last back half of the season here. But Eric, I do want to get your thoughts also on while we're talking bowl here, there's so much else going on. Like I'm sure you saw the social media stuff last week of hibachi chefs in the dome and Ferraris. Like this is a brave new world here. What are you thinking when you're seeing Syracuse jump into these deep recruiting waters that we really haven't seen over the course of history here?
Yeah, I mean, you got to survive and adapt, and you see all the best schools, and they're bringing out all the tricks for these guys, and it's a different generation. People want to feel wanted, and if that's the way they feel, you got to bring on a Ferrari, you got to bring a helicopter, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, at the end of the day, though, you're just going to be playing. I think, back then, if it makes you feel old, but you were really looking for an opportunity and where you could play. But now it's about the bells and whistles. There's a lot of different things that can go on with this, and there's a lot of NIL opportunities, and there's a bunch of different things to balance here. But I think Coach Brown and his staff, they're doing a great job of, adjusting, and they got to change, and they realize, all right, well, we got to do things differently. We got to stand out. We got to make this a memorable visit for these guys who are taking 10, 15, some of these trips. I know that in the past we were allowed 5, but some guys get the unofficial, and, they do what they do. NCAA is not cracking down on it too hard. So I think, he's doing the right thing. He's making sure that, people are going to remember the Cuse, remember the orange, and I think the hibachi chefs in the dome is an incredible experience. That would be a really cool thing. And maybe they got an alumni hibachi dinner or something coming up that I'm hopefully going to be checking my email for here.
The alums need a little hibachi too, people. Something else. I'm looking forward to finding out what they're going to do this weekend, Eric. You got to keep things fresh and exciting. I don't know. You need a different card and a different food this weekend. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's been wild to watch. How is this? As a recent alum here, Eric, it feels like the fan base is very, very excited by what's happened here in the last 2 weeks, and why wouldn't you be? I mean, it's been wild, and every 5 minutes it feels like something this has happened. How is this all hitting you as a recent alum? Are you hearing the excitement? How is it all landing on you right now?
Yeah, I think there is. It's just a lot of buzz. It's something new. It's something that's moving in the right direction. And I think you start to see these guys flipping from Georgia to Syracuse, and you start to see the benefits of bringing in Coach Brown. And I think that's creating the buzz right there. We haven't even played a game yet, but I think everybody's on board. And there can be a lot that goes right for Coach Brown. And I think, obviously the pressure is high here, but, we understand. Yeah, I think Syracuse understands that it's going to take a little while here to rebuild. You don't got the 3 or 4 years. You got to make something happen. You got to make something exciting happen in the first year to prove to everybody, all right, this is going to change in the right way. And then year 2 and year 3 is really where you start to get cooking there. And, I think college coaches, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. I think they're thrown into a situation, and after a year, 2 years, if they're not doing well, then they're already on the hot seat. But it takes, at least 3 years to build. You got to bring in your staff. You got to implement your new culture. You got to do a bunch of different things to get things going in your direction. And then hopefully by the time you're there, you're able to produce, because if you're not, then, another guy's going to come in. He's got to start from square one to get to this repetitive downward spiral there. And what we're trying to do is just continue to move upward, but it starts with the right guy. And it also starts with the results. So Coach Brown, I think he's got all of it. I think he's got the juice. He's just, I really liked watching him interview. You can tell he's just a genuine guy who's, going to go out there and give it his all, and all he cares about is ball. He's a great relationship builder, and I'm excited to meet him in person. And, I'm excited for the Cuse 2024 season.
Yeah, I'd say you and all the alum. He said it in his press conference last week. The door is open for you guys, whatever you'd like. All right, Eric, good stuff as always, and enjoy the week. Enjoy the holidays coming up. I guess I'll talk to you before then. We'll talk to you after the bowl game next week, so that'll be our next time together. But thanks as always.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
All right, there goes Eric Dungy. Eric will be with me on our post-game show. We'll tell you all of the details of what we're doing next Thursday here coming up. There's a lot going on that day with hoops now moved up till 5, the bowl game at 8. We'll have full pre-post. I don't know what we're doing. We're doing a lot of stuff next week, all day Thursday. Before the games, after the games, Eric will be with me after the Boca Raton Bowl is over, and we'll take your final calls of the football season. By then, I mean, that's a week from now. Like, think of all the things that have happened with Syracuse football in the last week. I mean, Syracuse football could have 7 new quarterbacks and 6 new coaches by next Thursday. I had no idea. Things change rapidly when we've been talking SU football in the last week. Let's bring in our next guest here at our Boca Raton Bowl preview show. Here's a guy that, Syracuse and USF Go figure, we're Big East. Remember this, folks. Big East conference mates there for a little while. USF's actually 8-2 all-time against the Ardents. 6 of those wins coming as conference mates, and they played twice in 2015 and 2016 games that actually Eric took a part in. But let's bring in the voice of the USF Bulls. He is Jim Lauk. Jim, welcome in. And well, what's this bowl game looking like from your angle here? It's been a minute since Cuse and USF have gotten on the field together.
Yeah, it's been a minute since South Florida's played in a bowl game, too. First one since 2018, so people are pretty excited about it. Going from 1-11 last year to 6 in a bowl game this year is a pretty good trick. So there's a little momentum here, and the fan base is getting a little bit energized now.
You know, Jim, obviously we got to know the Bulls a little bit back in the day when it was Syracuse and USF every season. Saw them a couple times in 15 and 16 there in games that Willie Taggart coached. What has this last decade been like? It feels like a roller coaster. Like Taggart had him going and then it kind of fell off and it's been up and down. How has it really gone since Syracuse last saw USF?
It's really been up and down. It's been a very interesting 27 years for this program so far. You know, they number 2 in the nation in 2007. They got up to number 10 in the nation in 2008. And then the Big East dissolved and changed. They went into the American, lost the so-called Power 5 designation. Really have struggled the last couple of years, and it's really under the new coach, Alex Golish, where they seem to have things back on track. But the first 10 or 15 years of this program, probably better than the last decade or so. They're hoping they're back on the right track now.
Yeah, it was certainly on the rise for a long time from the start under Jim Leavitt and reached the heights that Jim's talking about there. Then, fell off at the end of his time for a variety of reasons. And then Taggart had him up. I remember the Syracuse game one year was kind of a make or break for Willie, and he won it. And then he took off for other things, and it's been kind of all over the place since then. You mentioned Alex Golish. First year, he ran the unbelievable Tennessee offense last year that put up about 8 million points for the Vols. What's he done to impress you right out the chute here this year, Jim?
You know, if you want one word to describe him, it's probably a little bit of an unusual word, but I would say it's consistency. He's just the same guy day in and day out. And players have told me that, sometimes they go through the recruiting process and they have a head coach who's acting this way, and then they sign and they come to the team and the head coach starts acting that way. He's just a totally different guy. They say with Alex Golish, he's the same guy all the way through. They know what to expect. They know what is expected of them. They seem to really appreciate that, and I think that's been kind of a hallmark of him turning around this program. He makes it clear to the players, this is what you need to do to be able to get on the field and stay on the field. And it's not just in-game action. It's, how do you hydrate during a game week? How do you act in class? How do you get things done away from the football program? And he's built a strong culture here in a short amount of time, and I think we're starting to see that pay off a little bit.
You mentioned Jim, and Jim Lauk is with us, the longtime voice of the USF Bulls, that when USF was with Syracuse in the Big East, that was back when, it's a Power 6 or whatever we were calling it back then. And obviously now it's shrunk to 5 and now down to 4, or however we're doing the math these days. Where has USF been in this, conference alignment roulette, basically, for the last decade? Are they comfortable where they're at? Are they looking to move up? Where are the Bulls in the hierarchy right now?
They're looking to move up like probably everybody is in their situation. They're trying to attack it in part through facilities. They opened up a new multi-million-dollar indoor practice facility last year. They just announced finalized plans to build an on-campus stadium that'll be ready for the 2027 season. And they're hoping they can position themselves to get accepted into a different situation. It's not to say they're not happy in the American. It's been a good home for them for the past 10 years or so, but they're hoping to move up and get into a different classification in the future.
Yeah, it is wild. As Syracuse can attest with the changes in the ACC, how fast this stuff changes from year in to year out. All right, Jim, give us a little bit on the Bulls this year. Your quarterback looks pretty darn good, in Byron Brown, dual threat guy, threw for 3,000. He ran for a bunch of yards too. What's he done for the Bulls this year?
He's just a really strong leader and has proven to be just a terrific, he's a redshirt freshman, first of all, so you'd think there'd be more growing pains than there have been. South Florida now kind of taking that Tennessee offensive model, runs the offense extremely fast. They're right near the top in the nation in amount of plays run per game. When they've got it clicking, the offense can be just devastating. They move so fast. You see some interesting things. They actually snapped the ball this year when the defense had 16 men on the field. They get a lot of flags. They get a lot of defenses really confused. And when they've got it going, they can really pile up some points. But, as they're building this thing and as they try to get consistent and try to get the right guys in the right places, they'll also have some times when they'll have a quick 3 and out, 10-second drive and get the defense ready because they're going back out there. So they've gotten a little bit better in terms of consistency as the year went on. But if they are clicking, they are really, really something on offense.
Yeah, averaging more than 30 a game. The other side of the coin has given up a bunch of points. I guess it was not a game you guys won, Jim, but early on in this season, and it was not one of the high-scoring games either. But the Alabama game early on in the year, how much did that set the table for this season, where this team's like, yeah, we just played Alabama heads up for a full 60 minutes?
Yeah, it's interesting. Alabama didn't play Milroe in that game, so that was a little bit of a difference, but still it was a tremendous performance by South Florida's defense, one that they really have not been able to match the rest of the season. But it shows you the talent is there. I think the scheme is very good defensively. They probably had a little bit more work defensively than they did offensively in terms of this rebuild. Coaches will be the first to tell you they've still got to recruit hard through high schools and the transfer portal and get some additional personnel, build some additional depth here. But they've had some good moments, and defensively that game against Alabama was the best one this year.
Yeah, it was one of those, you're watching the score, you're like, what is going on down there in Tampa? And seeing if they can pull it off, and almost got it. All right, last thing for you here, Jim. Maybe you'll have a better answer than we do, because we up here don't really know the answer. What are you expecting from the Syracuse football team in this game? Because there have been so many changes going on since we last actually saw them play. Do you have any clue what you're going to see coming up next week?
I've talked to the offensive and defensive coordinators for South Florida, and they are very wary. Just like Eric was talking about quarterback. I mean, that's the biggest question is who's going to have the ball offensively and how that's going to work and what the personnel packages are going to be. You're always wondering that a little bit in a bowl game, obviously, because of personnel changes and the time between the last game and the bowl game, things change. So there's always some question marks, but I think it's a project for South Florida getting ready for this game just because there are so many question marks about what Syracuse will do, especially offensively.
Well, Jim, I'd give you the inside dirt, but I haven't the foggiest what they're going to do coming up next week.
I was counting on you. Come on.
Man, I got nothing, Jim. I don't know who's going to be on the roster by next week, so we'll have to figure it out all together when the kickoff happens next Thursday at 8. All right, Jim, enjoy the game next week. Thanks so much for hopping on for a few.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.
There goes the voice of the Bulls, Jim Lauk, as the game coming up a week from now. First meeting Syracuse and USF since an Orange loss back in 2016. All right, let's wrap up our preview show right now by talking to one of the Orange football players. Got a chance to chat with this guy after practice yesterday, and what a perfect guy to talk to with everything that's going on. How about somebody that's currently on the Syracuse football team that's from Camden, New Jersey? How about a conversation with Cinco Elijah Clark? Elijah Clark with us now. It's good to have Cinco with us, getting you ready for the Boca Raton Bowl coming up a week from today. And, man, Elijah, there's a lot to hit you with here. It's been a busy 2-3 weeks around this program. Give me a thumbnail. What's this last few weeks been like in your world?
It's been fast. A lot of changes going on within the coaching staff and the team, but pretty much we've been holding it all together. Should be able to put on a great show for you guys on the 21st, so just ready for it.
Yeah, I'd say with all this stuff going on, we'll get into Fran Brown and, the outlook of the program going forward. What's it been like for you guys to, try to drill down and focus in and get ready for this game?
It's been pretty well. Us guys standing together as a team, just working through our hard times, as everybody know right now, losing our head coach. So we've been all just hanging in there, keeping it together, and just working one last time to get this win.
And yeah, you'll be out there on the field in a week down in Boca Raton taking on USF. Take me back, I guess, to a couple weeks ago when you found out where the bowl was. That must have been nice to find out sunny Florida was your destination among the places you could have ended up.
Oh, yeah, that was great, man. I know they had Boston on there, and I was praying. Our prayers work. I prayed to God that we go somewhere hot with some heat. So very blessed and thankful to be able to go to Florida. So.
All right, and you'll be heading down there in a week to take on South Florida. You'll be playing them coming up in a week down on Thursday night next week in the Boca Bowl. And Elijah, it's been a crazy time. Obviously, it's not fun, I assume, to be around the program when your coach gets let go, as happened to Dino. But you obviously have a pre-existing relationship with the new head coach in Fran Brown. What was that like for you to watch the process play out and say, "Whoa, I know this guy that's coming in here to lead this team"?
It was probably one of the most up emotions I ever felt, because losing Coach Babers was most definitely heartbreaking to our program. But a guy like Fran, I watched Fran grow from being a position coach and doing all those other things, coming from a city that we're both from. So I'm very proud of Fran, and I'm just waiting to see what he can do with this program.
Take me back, Elijah. Obviously, you both, have Rutgers in your background. Was he your recruiter back then? Did you just know each other? Is it a Camden thing? What's the relationship like going back?
You could say all three. So I knew Fran. Fran coming from the same city. He was my position coach at Rutgers. So me and Fran is pretty much like my role model, like a blueprint of coming from a city like I come from. He's one of the few guys that made it to this level and made it past this level and still is around the college game. So it's a lot with Fran. With me, I'm just ready to work for him and see what he has in store for us.
We've gotten to see him just a little bit here. Obviously, you know him better than us. He's he put it out there, and he tries to keep it real, and he says he's going to. What do you think Syracuse fans are going to learn about this guy in the coming year or so?
He's very, very, very real. When he says that, the dart that he's going by, detail, accountable, and just like the things with Fran is just like, he's a very real guy. He puts you in real situations. He's not going to sugarcoat anything because he wants the best for you. And that's one thing I love about Frank, because even if I'm doing bad, I don't need nobody to pat me on my back when I'm doing wrong. And this guy right here, he's most definitely going to keep guys on the right track. He has a scheduled plan for us, and I'm very proud of Frank. That's one thing I can say. It's a little different kind of bond than everybody else, but I'm very proud of Frank.
We got Cinco with us. We got Elijah Clark with us. We're getting you ready for the Boca Raton Bowl coming up in a week here. But, you're from Camden. All you guys are from Camden. Take me into this. What does this mean to your hometown, to see the success that, your fellow guys are all having together at this point?
It means everything, because, if you look up the history of Camden, there was a point probably around, 2012, 2016 margin where we were probably the most dangerous city in the country. So just seeing us elevate in life, it's a blessing. It's great. And even Coach Robinson, Elijah Robinson, the defensive coordinator, is also from campus. So it's just I would say our city is definitely doing big things and taking a big step. And we just, Jersey the Qs. That's all we're preaching it. Jersey the Qs. Everybody, let's hop on the train. Let's do it.
I know, Cinco, we've talked about that idea before. It feels like it's multiplied by 1,000 now with Fran being here. You mentioned Elijah Robinson, Nunzio Campanelli, who's leading you guys to the bowl game and will remain on the staff going forward. I know talking to LaQuint at points, he's excited, and there's a ton of other guys on the team. What is the Jersey pride going on right now?
I don't know. It's to us, we've been underlined this whole time. I remember one time, high school 7-on-7, where they asked us, I think we seen a team from Florida actually. They asked us, like, y'all play football in Jersey? So it was pretty much like after that one time, me and LaQuint was also on that team as well. So after that one time, we just took pride in that, and it's Jersey tough. Like, now every time you meet a Jersey guy, we're most definitely gonna let you know what Jersey actually is and what it is to be from Jersey. So that energy is it's contagious. So they get around a couple guys and everybody's gonna act the same. The mentality that we come with and the pain that we play with, it's a way different feeling than a lot of other places.
Yeah, we see the way you guys kind of express yourself on the field. You kind of let it be known out there, which is fun to watch. And we're watching from afar. We see what Fran's got cooking on the recruiting trail and guys that he had in town this past weekend, and other Jersey guys that it looks like are to come join you in the future. I guess when you're going to be an older guy in the team, coming up next year with these younger guys around, how do you I guess pass these lessons on and set it up for the next group of kids coming through?
Pretty much, I took my first 3 years in college and sat back and really watched leaders, guys like Michael Jones, Garrett Williams, my fault. Guys like Isaiah Pacheco, Bo Melton, like those guys, I really sat there and watched those guys. So whatever that those guys taught me, I'm ready to pass it down. Like, I feel like I got to the point where I learned enough where I'm able to pass my knowledge down. And also guys like Justin Barron. Justin Barron is a guy, like, people don't really understand how key of a guy he is. Like, he makes sure everything is in order. Everybody knows what's going on. Make sure everybody's on meetings on time. Like, even outside of football, make sure everybody's straight. So guys like that, they really prep me to go into my senior year and be able to be a leader.
A couple of more things here with Cinco Clark. I want to get one more on the future here, Cinco, and one more on the immediate future with the bowl game. We're watching all the social media stuff going on with this recruiting weekend last weekend, and there's Ferraris and hibachi chefs. There was a lot going on in Syracuse last week. What was that like for you to watch as a guy on the team right now?
Crazy thing is, I probably think we're the first college to do hibachi on the court. And that's you never see nobody cooking on the court. A lot of people say they're cooking on the court, but we was the first team to do that. And I pretty much I can see like this juice is getting back. Syracuse is known for the energy, the swag, the fans, and I feel like we're about to get right back to the point where everybody's involved. Everybody loves Q's football. Everybody loves being at the games, and everybody just loves being orange. So I feel like we're definitely going to get back to that point in the upcoming years, and I'm just ready for it to happen.
All right, and let's hit the football here. Let's go back to the end of the season here. You guys pulled out the great win against Wake Forest to get bowl eligible. Obviously, there was a lot of ups and downs this season. We know the offense went through a whole ton with the injuries. Where are you guys at with the football right now as you're getting on the field for the last time this season?
We're pretty much just trying to have fun. So it's a lot of our last times playing with each other. We have a lot of seniors leaving, a lot of guys getting into the transfer portal, but pretty much just going out there and have fun. We worked 12 weeks, a long 12 weeks this season to be able to go to a bowl game. So pretty much we just want to enjoy it and be able to have fun for our last game together.
All right, Cinco, enjoyed the time with you today. Enjoy the trip to Boca, and we'll be watching next week, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Elijah Clark, always good to chat with Mr. Cinco from Camden, New Jersey. He who better on the entire team to tie past, present, and future together in one conversation today with Elijah. And there we are. That is how you preview a bowl game, people. Boca Raton Bowl 1 week from tonight, 8 o'clock next Thursday, the 21st. We'll have full coverage here as I'd say as per normal. It is going to be anything but a normal day next Thursday with the basketball game going on. But tune in. We'll have stuff. Yeah. Tune in, we'll have stuff. Dungy will be here post-game after the game, and we'll have stuff all day long, pre-game stuff. We'll have stuff. Just show up, there'll be stuff. How about that? That's our promise. You show up here, we'll give you stuff next Thursday night for the bowl game and the basketball game in the doubleheader, Dome and Boca back-to-back. Thanks to everyone that hopped on our bowl special. Doug Mosley, Eric Dungy, Jim Lauk, and Elijah Clark. If you missed the beginning, it'll all be up later on YouTube. Just watch it all again. Yeah. Give it a click. Ratings. Come on, people. All right, coming up here, normal schedule today. Orange Nation is starting in a little bit under 15 minutes. Newhouse afternoon. At 2, my show at 4 without me. I guess that's not normal. Tim Leonard will be in for me later on today. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow afternoon. Thanks for hopping on. Hang around. Orange Nation coming up in 15.